I'm in love with Latin phrases, and I have them tattooed on my body. In case you're curious, I will link dump the vlog where I revealed my body and showed them all to you. But hey, and also there's a cat there. I've realized that as I'm out in this room now, there are probably going to be cats in a lot more of my vlogs, which might be a problem. But anyway, we won't get into that now. I love Latin phrases, and as you can see in the title, the very first Latin phrase that I think I ever learned was non sequitur. Non sequitur was the name of a comic strip in the newspaper, which is how I learned about it, and I think my dad was probably the first one to tell me what it meant. It means it does not follow. And typically it is used in a comedy sense, like if you think of Monty Python, where they have they'll have a sketch, and then either they will completely derail into a new sketch, which with no punchline at all, or they will have John Cleese say, "And now for something completely different." That could not be more of a non sequitur. Like that is not the end of a sketch. That is something that doesn't make sense, and it does not follow. That's a non sequitur. I will also link dump. I will link dump a video from the Troy Has a Camera account, which is the second account of, of the Marble Hornets guys. Sorry if I'm spoiling something for you that Marble Hornets is not real. They have a second channel that they put comedy sketches on. I will just link one. It's about a minute long. It ends with a non sequitur. I'm not going to give it away. It's brilliant. But non sequitur can certainly be applied to other things, debates, arguments, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. On a recent episode of Sean and Carter Have a Podcast, we raised a couple, we made a couple people angry, and I can't really tell why. I titled this podcast Mostly Harmless for more than one reason. The first was that we talked about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and Mostly Harmless is the fifth and last book of that series by Douglas Adams. But Mostly Harmless I was also trying to apply to our philosophical discussion about Apple computers. We talked about this article from the, let me get this right, Electronic Frontier Foundation. Their catchphrase is defending your rights in the digital world. And a few of our fans and listeners who listen to us every week, but sometimes seem to really not hear us. You don't think you're hearing what we're saying. The people who have responded to this in a negative or angry and very verbose way, I cannot tell that any of you have actually read the article. You don't make any mention of it. All of the points that you're bringing up are very typical anti-Apple arguments that have nothing to do with what we were talking about, which is a philosophical debate about whether or not computing devices, everything from your cell phone to your computer to your tablet to your laptop to your TV, which is TVs are basically just turning into computers now, to your home entertainment system, to your Xbox, to your PlayStation, every technological device, this article says, should follow a Bill of Rights that includes 4 points. I will read them off now. The 4 points are: 1. Installation of arbitrary applications on the device. If a user wishes to, they should not be limited to what is included in one particular proprietary app store. So, according to their Bill of Rights, if I had a PlayStation 3 game, if I had Little Big Planet and I wanted to install it on my Xbox, I should be allowed to do it. If I wanted to install it on my wife's Apple computer, sure, why not? I should be able to do it. If I want to play my DS game on my computer, I don't know how I'm going to hook it up, but there should be a way for me to do it. The architecture of the computer should support it. Number 2, access to the phone operating system at the root/superuser/hypervisor/administrator level. I've never even heard of a hypervisor. What the If consumers wish to examine the low-level code that is running in their pockets to check for invasions of privacy, run the antivirus software of their choice, join virtual private networks, install firewalls, or just tinker with their operating systems, phone and device companies have no legitimate basis for preventing this. That's their second opinion. They're opining. I think the argument against that is really obvious. I'm not even going to go into it. Number 3, the option to install a different OS altogether. And then there's a big paragraph. Basically, they say, like, if I want to install iOS on my Android phone, sure, why not? If I want to install Linux on my Nintendo Wii, should be able to. I should be allowed to. They shouldn't be able to limit me. Number 4, hardware warranties that are clearly independent of software warranties. And the specific example that they give is a user who jailbreaks their iPhone, who breaks their screen. Say they take it to the Apple Store and say, my screen is broken, it's covered under warranty, fix it. The Apple Store takes a look at it and says, this phone is jailbroken, we can't fix it. Now, let's back up. Why should any free enterprise, private company be subject to these rules? Why? Why in this field of technology and computers more than any other is absolute freedom supposed to be guaranteed? That doesn't make much sense to me. And especially when you get into things like being allowed to install any operating system on any device. Operating systems aren't free, and operating systems have strings attached to them for reasons, mostly money, but not always. And I don't think it's about good intentions or bad intentions of the company, which this article seems to think it is the bad intention of Apple to discourage innovation and discourage people from using their devices for things they're not able to. And I don't think they're discouraging anything. They're just trying to keep a hold on the things that they want their users to be able to do. And I think I have a perfect example for the final point of all of this. I explained this to my wife, and I basically summarized the 4 points. And I said, like, you should be able to install Linux on your computer if you want, and like I had to explain a couple terms for her. But I said, what do you think of all of this? What does this all mean to you? And I was asking her specifically because she owns a MacBook that she uses all the time. And I said, how do you feel about this? Do you want to have the option to? And she goes, I don't care. And I said, exactly. The people that Apple's trying to sell these things to don't care. The people who do care should not buy Apple computers. Simple as that. Ultimate non sequitur, of course, is when a commenter decides that Apple computers is very much like Nazis in the 1940s. It does not follow.